Welcome to the book review for Kintu. One of my favorite reads so far. Like, I love it. This is by Jennifer Mangumbi Nasubuga Mangubi. This is the name of the author, and I got one of the classic covers. Right, it's just so strong and powerful. Oh wow! So if you're watching this, so you already know about the book. The book is about a curse that was put on a patriarch of a family from the 1750, since 1750. Because I won't spoil it too much. And since then, it had followed, and with the curse, when he tried to remove the curse, he was told that nobody should hit any of his children or his descendants on the head. So that had followed the entire family until they had a ceremony, a reunion, a family reunion with, as all the family happens, they all separate. They all from that one line of blood, and then they separate into different clans. So all members of the clans, lead members of the clan, were all invited for a family reunion to basically remove the curse by giving the patriarch, the matriarch, and the person who was also killed by accident, who was the reason for the curse, to be buried, to be given a respectable burial, and remove the curse from the man who put the curse there. The man, obviously, the man who was responsible for putting the curse, was also very, very hurt. So this wasn't just a malicious act. This was coming from a place of pain. And I love how we get to understand that, because sometimes when we're talking about a situation with curses, particularly in the storytelling of Africans, it's just so blunt. It's just so bluntly done, and the perpetrator is usually just assumed to be this evil person. But we were able to have the author did a great job to explain the original reason for the curse and the story behind it, which we can sympathize with, because he was under a lot of pain. So yeah, so I think that was fantastic. The book is separate, is has many books, as in is written like in many sections. So it has book. It starts from book 1 to book 4. 5 is Roman numbers. Could I remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roman numbers. It's separated to 6 books, about 410 pages. So it's a long book, but it's so stimulating that you would not want to put it down. And it's incredibly funny. The author does a great job of adding some humor there and educating people about the African tradition. I'm not Ugandan, I'm Congolese, but this book is almost this book has demonstrated to me, it has reinforced that knowledge that the Bantu people are ultimately the one clan that's separated, because there's so many similarities. This is why when people say the Africans, we think, and some of us get defensive and say we're not just the Africans, we're this and that and that and that and that. But for me, I'm not Ugandan, but it's so, and I'm from Kinshasa. My family, well, I don't know, my family from all over Congo, but I was born there. This is where I was born in Kinshasa, the capital city, and just the stories that you hear from your grandmother, or just things that Congolese traditional people talk about, like culture stuff, is so similar. Like the Bantu people is so similar, and from one of them, it was the twins, not to separate the twins. And in the first book, you learn how the twins which is Kintu's wife, is a twin. How the twins are considered as one person, right? So they're considered as like a conflicted soul that had to separate itself into two bodies, which I find very fascinating. However, in my beliefs, I don't believe that it remains with just the twins. I think we're all one mind that's extremely conflicted and separates into different, but it's more stronger with the twins, you know, because certain twins can feel physical pain or physical emotion that the other twins are feeling. So it's more, it's a lot more, I guess, deeper, stronger with twins, particularly identical twins. The patriarch, from my understanding of the patriarch, Kintu, the Kintu, he was pretty different, and this is how we kind of see a lot of the social conditioning, social beliefs and cultural beliefs and systems are just conditioning, really. Like, you know, he wasn't really down and he really didn't buy too much into this patriarchal toxic masculinity of, you know, having sex with a lot of women. You know, he didn't find that to be, you know, flattering at all. He found that to be quite emotionally exhausting, and I love the fact that the author points that out. I'm not sure if that was her intention in doing it, because I'm not familiar with the author, and I believe I've been looking through for interviews and stuff of her, but not seen any. But she went, and I recognized that in the first book, and how he just wasn't. It became a burden, because every town he'll go to, you know, he's giving a wife or somebody's offering their child to them, and it's just like, whoa, like, no. And he also broke tradition by wanting to marry the younger twin, Nakota, his wife, who he was besotted with, and their family insisted that he married Barbara first, as she was the eldest, but he was like, no. I mean, and he managed to negotiate a little bit, because the wife also insisted, because she also loved her sister very much, and she wanted the sister to be a part of it all, which is very admirable. As women, we are taught, even with our own siblings and our own sisters, we are taught to be very competitive with one another, to always strive to be better than the other. Yet these traditional women are willing to share their husbands with each other, basically, because they understand that it's about carrying on the family line, not possessing over the man. But obviously that doesn't work in reverse, because of probably the patriarchal conditioning, because it's more favorable to the man, and is more about glorifying that masculinity. So that's what I found in the first book. I don't want to give too much away, but this is just my review of it. It was I loved the little details that she included about women, traditionally women wanting to shave their head, because they believed that, you know, having women who grew their hair were ugly, whereas the fresh shave accentuated your face and your actual beauty, which is lost in this generation. I mean, now we're going back to there, where more women are shaving their heads and having shorter hair, but in the Western mindset, it's really lost, because everybody is so Eurocentric in how in the way that believe they buy into beauty, that you must have long, silky, flowing hair. And this, just the mentioning of that, not that I believe only ugly women grow their hair, I grow my hair, but it removes you from that one trap mind, or one trap idea of beauty, hair being long and flowy, You know, your true beauty comes out regardless, and they believe that the shaved head accentuates that even more, which was fabulous, fantastic for me. The way that the book is, it's separated into different clans, lives. The clans who are eventually, who at the end attend the family reunion. We look into their lives. I didn't know this is how it was going to end, but we look into their lives and we learn about it. And it wasn't done in a segue, in a segue where the author actually linked everybody in before moving into their story. She did that with the individual story, where you're talking, when we went into Mrs. life, we then went back to him going to Europe. Like, first of all, we started with Missy in the house with all of his grandchildren and seeing the bees and the bees coming up, and then we went back, and then she segued into it. But in terms of from character, jumping from story to story, because this book is a collection of the Kintu clans who attended their reunion, and how their separate lives has impacted, how the curse has impacted individuals' lives, their family lives. And there is the most fascinating, she just did not shy away, and I have to applaud the author for that. She just did not shy away from the difficult stories, from the difficult revelation. She did not hold back. She dug in to it. Like, it's so it's well written and incredibly told in. I mean, I learned a lot, and I was and laughing, and it just shocking, and the way she would drop clues here and there, and the way how different characters decided to proceed to take to live their life. And some of them were aware of the curse, some of them weren't aware of the curse, and it was amazing. And some of the best. Who is my favorite character? Hey, I don't even know, like, because they're all good. Everybody was interesting. What was some of the story that really stood out for me was quite a few of them. There was Isaac's story. Isaac, for me, I felt was a child conceived by rape, because his father, who's a Kintu descendant, raped his young mother in school. He was her professor, and the mother lived with the guilt that he was put into prison. And as she was young, she wasn't there present. He was raised by his grandparents, and he would see things as well as a child, and but he sort of had that, whether it was the curse or whether it was just the patriarchal conditioning of what men were like. He was quite repulsed by women, although he was very promiscuous. Once he started getting the attention of women, because he was perceived to be a very ugly child, according to the story. Once he started getting attention for women, he was very repulsed by women's advancement to him, sexual advancement to him. He even mentioned how it made him feel like a woman, as if we're supposed to be passive and timid. That is what really scared him. And you know, some of the scenes were quite, you know, descriptive in the way he's forced himself into the woman. And she was actually one of the only women to say, although she sort of lived with it, because she ended up being his wife because of the comfortability that he provided. She was the only person in that type of like seen who turned around and said, you know, how would you like it if that was done to you? But he sort of compensated by allowing her to stay and looking after her and paying for her education. Bizarre, but that is the mindset of where they were, right? Um, and Subi as well had the same type of, you know, there was the same type of encounter with her boyfriend as well, which was crazy. Now Subi's story was very interesting. How she lived with this her dead twin in her conscious all the time, and somehow got sick and tired of it, because Subi has spent her entire life. It's like Veronica decided to die. The book Veronica, the end, where the girl who thinks that every day is going to be her last day. Subi spent her entire childhood thinking that she's going to die, because everybody have said that to her since she was born, because she was born so scrawny and skinny. Everybody thought that she would die. Somehow she survived and became very resentful of the twin and wanting to bind her spirit, which I thought was quite bizarre, considering that considering that the twin had helped her a lot, you know, especially when she got a job working at the house and stuff. The twin had helped to guide her, and she tried to bind the spirit. I thought that was quite interesting. When that was happening, it reminded me again of you know, I wasn't too much into the supernaturalness of it. You know, it's the twin who's doing it, because for me it is that one consciousness, where you don't have to be a twin necessarily to be conflicted. We all have conflicted minds. And as for this story being a family curse, I'm sure if you look through every family if you go through every family with a fine tooth comb, you would see these type of problems, as in, which means that we all have cursed. And you know, somewhere down the line we can say that we all are cursed, because it's the original sin. It's the original sin, right, from Adam and Eve, to have to see a dual world in the first place is the original sin, good and bad. So that is a conflicted mind, and I don't believe that it's a curse special to them. I mean, they do have their fair share of crap, right? If you just read the book, you will see incest. What else was it? What else is the thing was the curse? Just dysfunction, other types of family dysfunctional, like a breakdown in relationship with just parenting, right? Missy going off to Britain and Russia with his scholarship to study, while he's got 2 wives at home, and not having any real relationship with his children, besides the daughter who he ended up making an heir. But she was the only child left. You know, it was like, oh yeah. And you know, to his understanding, it was, maybe all of my boys had to die to know that it's supposed to be her. Or maybe not. Like, or maybe not. But you know, it's interesting, because for me, I see this book as it's like there's a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is a collection of mythologies that basically are a archetype of women's psyche. And I think this is a collection of stories that stands as an archetype as society's psyche. The incestual relationship between Job and Ruth, for instance, and how they themselves didn't see any problems with it. It's only society who saw it as there's something wrong. Their family saw it as like, oh, there's something wrong there. These twins, these twins ended up, these twins were born to parents who are devout Christians who go around telling false stories to make people feel bad about their life so then they can repent and repent and accept Jesus as their savior. Meanwhile, their children are fornicating. Their twins are fornicating, but the children didn't see it as we're doing anything wrong because they believed themselves to be one. And what was so funny, I found when Paolo found out that Uncle Joe was actually daddy, which Ruth didn't actually care, because when Ruth had the child, Ruth named the child after her brother because she didn't see anything wrong with it. She didn't love the kid any less. She wasn't even disgusted by it. She wasn't anything. She went along when people said, that your father is this Tutsi guy who ran away. Okay, yeah, he's this Tutsi guy who ran away. But they didn't care. And when Paula asked the question, she goes, oh, back then me and Uncle Job saw each other as one self. And Paula goes, so did you think you were masturbating? That was so hilarious. I was like, that was such a great response. So I see Kintu as a collection of stories, of myths, you can call it myths, because what really happens anyway, there's people do things really happen. A collection of stories that stands as an archetype of our psyche. I think it's brilliantly written. It's just a masterful. I mean, the British Guardian calls it as masterful, and Financial Times a triumph, because it is that. It's that. It's an honor to African culture. In reading this book, I didn't know how much I had. I had kept in my mind about cultural beliefs and traditions, and it sort of awakened that. It shook that a little bit and awakened that in my psyche. I think that it was amazing. Definitely read it. 5 out of 5. It's a brilliant book and very stimulating, and there isn't, although it's a 410 page book, you won't be bored.